letter straight from your heart. Love letter straight from your heart.
The same man, just 4 years apart, and yet the difference is astonishing. In that short time, Elvis Presley's voice and his life transformed in ways few artists ever experience. In just 4 years, the man, the artist, and the voice went through a stunning evolution. And one song tells that story better than any other. Elvis didn't do many re recordings in the studio. Love Letters is one of those rare and fascinating exceptions. We have the gentle Control 1966 single and the raw, powerful 1970 album track. Let's break down these two iconic versions to find out what changed, why it changed, and finally try to decide which Love Letters is truly king. To really understand the first version of Love Letters, you have to picture the scene in May of 1966. Elvis's career was in a strange spot. The British invasion was raging and psychedelic rock was taking over. And Elvis was mostly making movie soundtracks and rarely appearing on the pop charts. But May 26, 1966 was different. It marked his first serious return to real studio recording in nearly 2.5 years. The main event was a new gospel album. The masterpiece would become How Great Thou Art. But during this 4-day session at RCA's legendary Studio B in Nashville, Elvis also handpicked a couple of secular songs for a new single. One of them was Love Letters, originally a 1945 movie theme. It had been a hit for Dick Haymes and, more recently, an R&B success for Caddy Lester in 1962. Elvis's choice to cover it showed he was turning back to the romantic ballads he loved, ignoring the latest rock trends. He was also working with a new producer, Felton Jarvis, a lifelong Elvis fan who brought fresh energy to the studio. Surrounded by the Nashville's A-team of musicians, Nashville Cats, and including his original guitarist Scotty Moore, fellow guitarist Chips Young, and the legendary pianist Floyd Kramer. Elvis was finally back in his element. The result was a performance that was nothing short of beautiful. So what does that 1966 version actually sound like? It's pure control. Subtle, gentle, and intimate. Production is clean and simple, built around Floyd Kramer's piano. Everything is perfectly placed to highlight the voice, and what a voice it is. Elvis caresses each word, singing with the tenderness and precision. And this is the 60s Elvis, a singer who approaches the melody with respect and emotion. His voice is light and carefully shaped. He doesn't overpower the song, he serves it. And listen to how he glides through the melody, how that soft vibrato closes each phrase. It's a lesson in subtlety. Critics at the time called the performance superb. It was elegant, refined, and showed Elvis at the top of his technical skill. The single was a solid success, reaching number 19 at the Billboard Hot 100, and providing that Elvis, the serious artist, was still a force. It's the sound of a singer with nothing to prove. Smooth, confident, and completely in control. If the 1966 version was so perfect, why record it again? Because everything had changed in those 4 years. This was the most transformative period of Elvis's career. Fed up with the Hollywood routine, he staged one of the most powerful TV moments ever, the 1968 comeback special. Gone was the clean movie image. In its place stood a raw, dangerous, and newly inspired performer. That show wasn't just a career move, it was personal. It reminded the world, and maybe Elvis himself, what kind of fire he still had. That fire carried straight into the legendary 1969 sessions at American Sound Studio in Memphis, where he recorded Suspicious Minds, In the Ghetto, and Don't Cry Daddy. By June 1970, Elvis was back on top, a powerhouse live performer, ruling Las Vegas with sold-out shows night after night. The voice that had been so smooth and controlled in 1966 was now full of grit, texture, and power. It had been tested and shaped by 2 years of intense live performances. He was no longer just a crooner, he was a powerhouse balladeer, a showman who poured his entire heart into every song. This was the man who walked back into RCA Studio B in June 1970. The scene for the second Love Letters was completely different. This was the Nashville Marathon. For 5 days straight, Elvis and the Nashville Cats recorded from evening to sunrise, laying down dozens of tracks. It was during these intense sessions that Elvis decided to revisit Love Letters. The new version wouldn't appear until the following year, on the album Love Letters from Elvis. By the time they reached the song overnight on June the 7th and the 8th, the long hours were taking their toll. That exhaustion and emotion can be heard in his voice. The album Love Letters from Elvis was mostly made up of leftovers from these marathon sessions. It didn't have a strong theme like Elvis Country, and because of that, it felt less focused. After the raw organic feel of the Memphis sessions, producer Felton Jarvis went for a more polished sound, adding heavy strings and horns afterward. That decision became one of the most debated parts of this version, because the raw performance underneath was already powerful on its own. From the very first notes, the 1970 version feels completely different. The arrangement is bigger, more dramatic, but the biggest change of all is the voice. This isn't the gentle singer from 1966 anymore. This is the Las Vegas powerhouse, deeper, bolder, and full of passion. He doesn't just sing the words, he throws himself into them. You can hear the emotion, the strain, and the effort. Maybe some of it was fatigue, but it also feels intentional. He's not just performing the song, he's living it. Still, the production adds a glossy layer that not everyone liked. Those strings and horns sometimes cover the raw power underneath. Later, when the undubbed versions were released, fans could finally hear the pure band sound, and that raw energy was incredible. It's the voice of a man who's felt everything: love, pain, triumph, loss. It might not be perfect, but it's real. Alright, let's put them head to head. First, the opening line. The 1966 version is soft and personal.
Love letters straight from your heart. Keep us so near while apart.
The 1970 version is louder, grander, and full of emotion.
Love letters straight from your heart. keep us so near while apart.
Next, the bridge. In 1966, Elvis's voice is smooth and steady as he sings,
I'm not alone in the night when I can have all the love you write.
In 1970, that same line sounds rougher and more emotional. He's pushing harder and giving more.
I'm not alone in the night when I can have all the love you write.
Finally, the climax. The 1966 version built slowly and gracefully. Calm, elegant, and full of quiet feeling.
I'm memorized every line, and I kiss the name that you signed. And darling, then I read again right from the start. Love letters straight from your heart.
The 1970 version explodes into a wave of sound. Elvis's voice rises above the orchestra with strength and emotion, and you can hear the strain, the feeling, the urgency.
I'm memorized every line. I kiss the name that you signed. And darling, then I read again right from the start. Love letters straight all the way from your heart.
One sounds like a carefully written love letter, the other feels like a desperate, tear-stained confession. So, which version is better? The 1966 take is all about control and class. It's clean, balanced, and shows Elvis at his most refined. So I think if you love precision and elegance, then the 1966 version is your king. But the 1970 version is a different kind of magic. It's raw, emotional, and deeply human. If you care more about pure feeling and powerful vocals than about perfect production, then the 1970 version is the one that truly stands out. The two recordings of Love Letters aren't just different takes on song. They're portraits of two different men, two different sides of Elvis. One is the calm perfectionist, the other the emotional powerhouse. Both are Elvis and both are unforgettable. Now I'll turn it over to you. Which version do you think is king? Are you Team 66, the smooth crooner, or Team 70, the passionate balladeer? Let me know your choice and why in the comments below. I can't wait to see which one comes out on top. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.